Hi, this is Derek. Got kind of a new review series on my channel. I want to bring some structure to my channel. VHS Memories, where I talk about movies that I have in my collection that are on VHS and maybe share some memories if applicable. I know, very original, but stay with me. Basically, I mean, the first review I'm going to do for the series, definitely one that I do have fond memories of, one that's near and dear to my heart. It's Return of the Killer Tomatoes. In all honesty, I gotta tell you, 7, 8, 9 years old, what have you, I can't really remember. This was legitimately like one of my favorite movies. I love this movie so much. I would rent it all the time from the video store. I don't know what it was. There's just something about it that I loved, and I still like it a lot to today, pretty much. I didn't own it. I always rented it, but a couple years ago when VHS was of course dying, maybe in the early 2000s, of all places, I found this VHS in a department store, like in kind of the lower level where they're just like selling off all these VHS. So now I have it to own forever. Isn't that amazing? But basically, I mean, if you haven't seen the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, a 1978 movie, it gives you a good summation. It gives you a recap in this movie. Basically, in that one, in the original, tomatoes terrorizing the United States all over the place. Big tomatoes, small tomatoes, up to a small band of heroes, including Wilbur Finletter. Always in his army gear, always with his parachute out, running with like his katana sword and stuff. Kind of like the main character, sort of, but he's definitely a hero in that movie. Sam Smith, the master of disguise, only one brave enough to dress as tomatoes, to live as the tomatoes. His identity is compromised when he's sitting around the tomatoes by the campfire, eating human flesh, and he asks them to pass the ketchup. That was a big mistake. Also, I forget the character's name. Scuba guy. Guy always in like scuba gear. If there's water near him, that's where he feels most comfortable. Bathtub, lake, fountain in public. So if there's water, that's where he'll be. So anyway, tomatoes are attacking the world and horrible things are happening. Blah 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 blah. And basically, they found a way to exploit these tomatoes, to destroy them. They blast this one song called "Puberty Love," which I guess is supposed to be like kind of like a send up of Muskrat Love. Just such a horrible elevator music type song that the tomatoes can't help but be destroyed by this song. So that's kind of the key reveal at the end of that movie, and what wins the day over the horrible tomatoes that are putting the world in danger, basically. So it's a happy ending there, and Puberty Love saves the day. Wilbur Finletter, a hero, great movie. Or maybe not a great movie. It's a very bad movie, but one of those ways that so bad that you like it, basically. By all accounts, though, I would say Return of the Killer Tomatoes, definitely the superior tomato movie. This one, even more of a bad movie, but in a very self-referential way. Almost to a fault, some would argue. Basically, I mean, this is it's very self-referential. It knows very much that it's a B movie. So, before the days of like, the sci-fi movies and stuff like that, with horrible effects. But still, like Sharknado or something like that. Horrible effects, but, an intentionally bad movie. But those ones are almost kind of like very straightforward, almost like an audience participation kind of thing. They are kind of like blank canvases where, you and your friends can get together and make fun of how bad it is. But this movie, I think, has, the gusto to very much openly admit that it's a bad movie and make it into very much a comedy. Basically, I mean, it's such an interesting movie when you think about it. The way it starts out is that it's like, okay, maybe they don't have it so much, these days, but how like local cable station at like 3 in the morning will have, a special presentation of, Mars people of, far off, or some crappy B movie that you've never heard of. There's always like the host. Well, this is kind of how this one starts. It's like, oh, we have a classic for you today, Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Wow, secret word of the day, call in, blah blah, blah. All that stuff. It's really good. I think it's funny. Even so much at the very beginning, they're playing the wrong movie, which is very funny. They're actually playing. They're supposed to be playing Return of the Killer Tomatoes. The host accidentally puts on big-breasted girls go to the beach and take their tops off, which is also a classic by its own right. No, it's not really a movie, but you can overhear the host like, "Hey, wait a minute, we already played this like 5 times last week." Whatever. And then they play Return of the Killer Tomatoes, basically. So that kind of gives you an idea that this movie is very much, on the nose. It knows it's a shitty movie, but it has a lot of fun with it. And it is kind of almost like a movie within the movie, because they're always making little jokes that they're running out of money, and that they make very clear that they know they're making a silly movie here. But it's not to say it's a bad movie. It's a good bad movie, basically, that has a lot of ingenuity and a lot of imagination to it. And there's actually quite a bit going on in this story here. Basically, I mean, definitely, if you have an impression from the first movie, or even just kind of an expectation of, with like a title like this, even like a cover like this is not the movie. Like, there's this one, it does not have tomatoes running around and terrorizing cities and things like that. It's very much almost like kind of like a Cold War, basically, type of Tomatoes movie, which I guess is appropriate given the era. This is 1988 that this was made, so like about 10 years after the first movie was made. It takes place, I believe, 25 years, like in the timeline of the actual story, 25 years after the first movie. Tomatoes are banned. No tomatoes anymore. Which, it's silly, but if you think about it, what if tomatoes were banned? We wouldn't have ketchup, salsa, Italian food in general. I mean, you just be nothing. And the interesting thing, and like again, it's kind of a silly goof, but Wilbur Finletter, now that he's a hero, he's opened up a pizza shop. But the joke is, since there's no tomatoes, no pizza sauce, he serves all these silly pizzas, with like marshmallows and peanut butter, or like, I don't know, just name a stupid topping you could think of to put on a pizza, and that's what they'll serve in this place. He's not so much the main character, but mainly it is his nephew, Chad, and his best buddy, Matt, I believe his name is. Matt is played by George Clooney, and a lot of people are like, yeah, George Clooney is in this movie, and you kind of think, okay, yeah, whatever, it's like a 5-minute role. No, George Clooney is in this movie. He's a main character in this movie, by the way, and he's like, kind of like the best buddy in like, an 80s sex comedy kind of thing, so it's actually pretty funny to see George Clooney in his earlier days. Honestly, I don't know if he talks about this movie. I know he shit talks Batman and Robin, but I hope he's proud of this. He's actually very funny in it. But yeah, basically, plot gets set up. Again, it's kind of like a Cold War kind of thing. Often, the sort of almost outskirts of town, basically, a scientist who we do not see in the first movie, played by John Astin, which he's great in this movie, playing the mad scientist. Dr. Gangrene, basically, he was the evil genius behind the tomatoes in the first movie, and he's developing new tomato technology in this movie, using what was their exploit, what they used against them in the first movie, to their advantage, to make them better, stronger. Music. So he develops tomatoes that can be altered depending on music. So, like, for example, kind of what you see in the first movie, he takes a tomato, dips it in like the special secret, solution, ooze, whatever it is. He plays like Rambo kind of music. Then the tomato turns into a human, but like kind of like a Rambo type of human. So basically, there's these tomatoes in disguise, these tomato people that could be walking amongst us. They could be walking amongst you right now. You do not know. Kind of like, his plans are to, maybe make them into politicians, presidents, things like that, to slowly take over the world, undercover. So not these big tomatoes terrorizing the city, but, kind of infiltrating, which is kind of interesting. So he's working in his secret lab and stuff, and he has his help. He has Tara, who is also a tomato girl, doing all the cooking, cleaning for him, being his assistant, and other things for him. And Igor, his assistant. And you think Igor, you think hunchback kind of guy. No, he's like a a news reporter guy. He's like, "Hi there, I'm Igor. I'm great, happy to help you, sir. Whatever." And he wants to be. That's his aspiration. He wants to be a news reporter, and he's just doing this evil, sidekick deed until news job kicks in or something like that. So I think that's pretty funny. But basically, I mean, it kind of gets to a point where, Tara runs away because Dr. Gangrene's being an asshole or whatever. And she gets to know Chad, and, they start like a relationship and things like that. And they uncover the secret conspiracy about the tomatoes. And the Tara girl, I can't remember what actress played her. Karen Mistal, I believe her name. She is a knockout. Like totally 80s babe. What do you think? The big hair, pouty lips, hip hugger jeans. Great in the movie, and also great is her little friend, her fuzzy little friend, FT. Fuzzy Tomato. He was like a mistake, kind of an experiment gone awry. But it's this cute little tomato, but he's like a fuzzy tomato, so he's like a little dog, and it's like a cute little pup and stuff. And I don't know, I think that's pretty funny. So basically, I mean, that's kind of the plot. They uncover the conspiracy, and it's all about trying to stop Dr. Gangrene from his evil plot to take over the world one tomato at a time. And during the whole movie, it's a movie within a movie. So like, oh, we're running out of money. We should do product placement. Here, how about a Pepsi? Things like that. It's very stupid, but it is funny. I mean, it's kind of an interesting plot when you think about it. So much going on, and it all kind of leads up to the climax where, Wilbur Finletter, he has to trust tomatoes again. He brings the whole crew back, for one last hurrah. So it's like a big kind of confrontation with Dr. Gangrene and all that good stuff. Basically, I don't want to give away the ending or anything like that. But I don't know. I think it is. It is stupid. It's a stupid movie, and I'm sure people will look at this and not really think it's high art or something, and it's not. But I think it's a great B movie. Really just a testament to the fact that, okay, you can make these shitty movies. You can have like a $5 budget, but that shouldn't stop your imagination. And this movie has a lot of imagination, and it kind of speaks to that old sentiment of hey, let's get together and make a movie, which you get from movies like Evil Dead or something like that. Though this is definitely more. If you think Evil Dead's a comedy, this is way more comedy. So this kind of. It depends on your comedic tastes, I guess. It does get a little bit cheesy. I mean, there's some cheesy stuff for sure, or tomato-y stuff if you prefer. But some of it works, some of it doesn't. But I think it's just, I mean, such a unique movie. It really is. It definitely goes against all expectations. Like, you do kind of think, oh, it's going to be a cheesy B movie with tomatoes all over. But no, I mean, it's kind of an interesting plot with the music turning tomatoes into people. I mean, that's something. I mean, like, someone sat down and wrote this and thought this is a good idea, and it is. It's something unique. So I think honestly, it's a movie that you should give a chance. I mean, it's not as intentionally bad as like something like a sci-fi movie or something like that. It makes fun of itself so that you don't have to, and I think that requires a lot more skill on the part of the filmmakers, which our audience participation is nice and everything like that. And I guess it's kind of the trendy thing now, people getting together and doing their like own personal kind of riff tracks for a movie. But this movie is its own riff tracks, I guess. John Astin really great in the movie. George Clooney really great in the movie. A lot of great fun. And the soundtrack is like super 80s and very, very fun too. And just a good movie, I think. Not everyone's gonna love this, but this is a movie that I don't know. I don't know what gravitated me towards this when I was a kid. But I guess I just saw something, and as an adult now, I can still enjoy it. And there's even like the cartoon series, which is pretty cool. They had all the characters from this movie. First movie, decent. I don't think I saw I might have saw Killer Tomato Strike Back or the Eat France or one of those ones, but this is definitely the definitive tomato movie in my opinion. So what else can I say? I think it's something that not a lot of people will maybe seek out just on their own, you know, volition. Like I looked for reviews on this on YouTube. There's not too many. There's a few ones, but I don't know. If you haven't seen it, please do yourself a favor. You gotta check this movie out. It's really awesome. Lots of funny moments, and you know, it's like an '80s comedy basically. You know, guy meets tomato, kind of romantic comedy, and it's funny. And like the Terror Girl again. She's right here on the back here. How gorgeous is she? And just so funny. Like kind of the joke is that she's obsessed with toast. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna make toast, eggs, bacon, toast, waffles, and toasts. And I don't know, it's very funny. And George Clooney just being very funny too. And the ending with George Clooney, what his character does at the end is very funny too. So anyway, I'm rambling enough about tomatoes. Please give this movie a watch. I think it's on Netflix. If you can find the VHS, even better. Enjoy some VHS memories with me. So hopefully this series will bring back some more memories for me and you, my wonderful viewer, as well. But for now, thanks for watching.